Hi, this is Dr. Emmanuel Daniel, Faculty of Social Work from Kumaraguru College of Liberal Arts and Science, Coimbatore. Today, we're going to talk about essential skills for social workers in the field of CSR. There is no doubt that CSR got its emergence from social work. The concepts like transparency, accountability, sustainability were gained from social work. For a person to be an effective social worker in the field, he or she needs to gather or acquire a lot of skills. Today, we're going to talk about 5 essential skills in the field of CSR. So, these are the 5 essential skills for social workers. The first one is advocacy, budgeting, organizing, public speaking, and documentation. Advocacy. So, this is a definition given by Patrick in the year 1996. Advocacy involves either an individual or group or either representatives pressing their case with influential others about situations which either affect them directly or more usually try to prevent proposed changes which will leave them worse off. When I was a budding social worker, my ideology of advocacy was entirely different. Advocacy is all about we advocating our client's case to the concerned person. Now, we do not go and stand in front and lead the case. We achieve social justice by enabling people. Maybe we empower people through community participation and so on and so forth. I was always given a picture that social workers, they go with hunger strike and different sort of strike rallies in advocating things. Here, we need to understand if the partnering organization or a corporate is not following rules, or maybe if they are finding it difficult, or maybe there is an inequality, or maybe there is an overrule, maybe they don't follow the rules and regulations, do we just be quiet? No, definitely not. We will go against them. Just because they fund us, we are not going to be very silent. We will still persist on our vision and mission, and we will advocate the case. What happens when the government is not in line with the SDGs or the MDGs? Do we go against them just because they give us registration or they are in charge of our registration? Do we be quiet? Definitely not. We go against them, right? The grassroots level organizations have different forms of advocating things. I had an opportunity to interact with one of the national directors of an international organization where I asked her this question: why the grassroots level organizations go fight, go with hunger strike, rallies to show their displeasure in a certain bill or maybe some policies, whereas I've not seen bigger NGOs do that. She gave a very smart reply. She said, we are involved in advocacy, but not through social action, maybe not through fighting against them. They say we call them for a consultation. We invite them for a conclave, and we send our research findings, and we tell them, we give them our recommendations. This is how we give or we show our advocacy. So there are different forms of exhibiting the advocacy, but however, as an NGO, just because a corporate or a government is funding you doesn't mean that you can be very silent. You should stand up whenever there is violation just to ensure there is social justice. The next one is budgeting. Whenever we think about budgeting, we social workers think that is some auditor's job, maybe a finance officer's job. But trust me, for you to be a street smart social worker, budgeting is very, very important, because budgeting is all about planned spending. We'll have to plan how much are we going to spend and how much are we going to spend for administration, so on and so forth, with whatever resources that we have. We will have to see the available resources, then plan accordingly. And very essential that we'll have to forecast what is going to happen. Definitely, we are not prophets to forecast what is going to happen. But however, this is where we apply our critical thinking and we use our brains. So here you'll have to forecast. For instance, I was working in a German funding organization where the money which was sent to India will be in euros. Well, where they'll have to convert that euros into INR, that's the Indian national rupee, and then they'll have to use it for the projects. Now they'll have to forecast what will be the price of euro in the coming days. Maybe that cannot be accurate, but definitely there should be an approx forecasting to be done so that there is no scarcity of funds. The next one, you should be in a position to understand financial statements. Here, as a social worker, it will be very difficult to have to do the bookkeeping process. But however, we should have adequate knowledge to understand what is our financial position. The next very important is underspending. Underspending means not spending the exact amount what was already planned. Now, underspending to a certain extent is acceptable. But when you have large funds or maybe higher quantum of funds which are not spent for that project, then that's not all right. So here, underspending is cannot be tolerated when it is huge. The next one is organizing. Everybody, be it a social worker or a management person or an engineer or a doctor, anybody wants to, would love to be an organized person. Organizing is a very essential skill, be it any domain you work. So here, to be a person who is organized, you will have to identify what are the critical tasks before you. So you'll have to plan those tasks. Very importantly, you should be in a position to differentiate projects based on finance, based on the timeline, based on the urgency, so on and so forth. So you'll have to basically differentiate these projects and you have to have a to-do list. That is the calendar of events. For example, when you have a calendar of event in your organization, people who are working under you or under your project can sort of see that, understand how you are trying to position your project, and they'll be able to come along with you or travel along with you in the process. The next one, frequent monitoring is very, very, very essential. Monitoring will help you. Monitoring is a timely, or maybe monitoring is an analysis on where you're standing, or it is to understand your process, where you are traveling. So here, monitoring will basically help you to understand where you stand, maybe what is your priority, and then help you to adjust your priority. The next one is public speaking. I somewhere read in a journal that 75% of people are scared of public speaking. But before public speaking, I would always say building rapport in the community. So only when you build rapport in the community, public speaking becomes easy. Public speaking is all about sharing what is there in your heart. Maybe if the corporate or your partners are going wrong, will you still speak? There are always ways to speak. When the community is not in line with your vision, would you still speak? Yes, you will have to. So here, public speaking is very, very essential. So when you are approaching a public speaking, you'll have to define your objectives. You'll have to, just understand what you're going to speak. Then draw an outline and, just jot down the key points. Next, review each item, whichever is essential. For example, when you plan, you'll be able to chop out certain things. If possible, if there are projectors available, you use visual aids, which are very important. The next one, very, very, very important. Practice is very essential. The next one is a start, a solid start, a strong start. I remember a person who spoke by asking some apology or sorry in his public speaking. At the end of the day, after his speech, we felt sorry for ourselves listening to his speech. So what happens is, now let's have a fantastic and a bold start that will set the tone for your program. The next one, always finish stronger. Finish with a quote. Finish with an encouragement. Finish with a motivation where people would love to partner with you, would love to join hands with you, for your project. The next one is documentation. There are many documentation in the process of documentation. Many social workers fumble and tumble. It is because they always give excuses that they don't have time, because documentation has not been their priority. Here, documentation is a priority. For you to be a better person in documentation, you'll have to have writing skills. Writing skills are very essential. So again, here you're communicating what was done in the project, which is very essential. So here, documentation is very essential for an organization to send it to the partners or the donors. At the end of the day, if you are a person who's wanting to be accountable, then documentation is very, very essential. The next one, it paves way to supervision. Your supervisor will know where you are standing, where the project is heading towards from your documentation. Next, very importantly, it helps you to do evaluation. So I had an opportunity to do evaluation for a couple of organizations in Bangalore. The first thing we did was we read the report, then we entered the field, then we understood where they are standing. So evaluation is very important. Evaluation becomes very easy when documentation is very important. The next one, through the documentation, you'll be able to recognize what were the challenges. You will be able to identify what are the gaps. So and so forth. The next one is electronic records. Gone were the days where we used to take printouts and we used to do the filing. We used to file the quarterly and the half yearly and the annual reports. Now it has become all electronic records. People don't want to take printouts. So here we need to be smart in handling the electronic records. So these are some of the essential skills for social workers in the field of CSR. But trust me, these 5 skills are very important, but we aren't discounting the other skills. So for a social worker to be very effective, there are plenty of skills which are very essential. These are 5 skills essential for a social worker in the field of CSR. So thank you so much for taking your time to listen to this presentation. I'm sure that you would have got some understanding on the required skills